Well, I mean, speaking about the UK, I think the UK can pretty much only gain by importing culinary culture from the rest of the world.
Okay, that's
So in that
interesting.
respect, undoubtedly, immigration has helped. But also more broadly, migrants often as migrants self-select based on their skills, their talents. So countries effectively get those people who are more proactive, those people who are somehow smarter, better educated, and so on, than the people who stay behind. So
Hmm.
even if the migrants are relatively low skilled, the people who decide to become migrants tend to be those who are more entrepreneurial than the people who are otherwise very similar, but they decide to stay put.
Hmm.
And so in that respect, migration is generally positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And means there's no particular culture which you think like they are destroying.
No, well,
Like the Western values mostly says that.
there's a mixing of culture, but there's a mixing of culture that goes both ways. If you look at immigrant communities in most countries, I mean, there are some people who become very conservative,
Mm-hmm.
and this could be essentially a response to being confronted with a culture which is different from their own, and they become kind of more hardline in terms of turning back towards what they see as core value pertaining to their own culture. But most people, migrants and non-migrants, essentially learn from being in touch with one another, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a blending of cultures.
Yeah.
And this works at different levels. There's not necessarily a single national culture in most countries. It's a blend of regional cultures,
Yeah.
local cultures, and in the past, the distinctions between different regions used to be much stronger than they are now. If you look
Yeah.
at countries like Italy, people from the north would not be able to understand the way people from the south used to speak, and so on. And then because of mobility, but also because of technological inventions such as radio and television, people suddenly became confronted with cultures from different parts of their own country, and
Yeah.
they became more similar. And the same thing, same process goes on in terms of international mobility of people.
Yeah.
People in a country become familiar with being in contact with immigrants, but the immigrants also adopt elements of the culture of the country where they live,
Yeah.
and then they share some of those new norms and values which they have acquired. They share them with their friends and family back home.
Mm-hmm.
So there's essentially a process of cultural exchange,
Yeah.
and we can see how countries slowly will become more similar in terms of cultural values.